Hey guys, Raging Demons RPG back at you again. Now, do me a favor, be a little bit patient, trust me, it'll be well worth it for the next minute, and I'll explain what all the hubbub is all about. In the meantime, sit back, relax, and enjoy the melodies, because after all, music soothes even the savage beast. Don't worry, if you want to use this in your gaming session, I'll tell you who it's by and what the song title is. I wouldn't leave you hanging like that, would I? This guy? Nope. Alright, so, for those inquiring, that was Lai Lai Hey by Ensiferum. They're a bit of a medieval Finnish folk metal group. I know that's a lot of subgenres, but yeah, they're folk metal, which can work really well in a game that you're playing as long as it's fantasy setting, and you don't really want to be sitting there chilling out to the soft sounds of Enya for forever, or you've really started to wear out your compact disc of the Lord of the Rings soundtrack, which, don't get me wrong, epic as it may be, you don't always need to have every single game that's fantasy set having, you know, every time a villain comes in, boom, 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 no, no. I love that part. Okay. Anyway, uh, so this video is about bards and, to a lesser extent, my issues with elves. So, the whimsical fantasy intro was why I wanted to do that, and also the musical deal. Uh, bards. Okay, let me be straight with you. I am talking about bards in D&D, and I am talking about elves in D&D. Let's just get that straight. Bards. Bards have magic. And I got a problem with that. Sorry, I do. Not because they have it, but because it's compared to the others in the group. Hell, even in some cases, a ranger had better magical ability than a bard. Like, I don't know, just I like the appeal of playing a bard. I like the swashbuckle side of it. I like the, well, not even the swashbuckle. Like, sometimes I don't feel like playing a bard that's a swashbuckler. I like the idea of playing a traveling musician because, I mean, let's pick one that everybody's probably familiar with, Alan Adale. Uh, Now, Alan Doyle, I believe, portrayed him in the most recent Robin Hood. Whether or not you like that movie or not, I'm gonna go ahead and strike up some pride for that because he is just like me. He is in fact a Newfoundlander from Newfoundland, not Newfoundland, Newfoundland. That's where he's from. He's the lead singer of Great Big Sea. Played Alan Adale in the new Robin Hood because he did some musical work with Russell Crowe. Now, Alan Adale was pretty big in the Robin Hood mythos, is pretty big. And he didn't have no magic. So I kind of like the idea of playing a bard without magic. So, I mean, if you got enough magic in the party, as I've always had, there's always somebody playing a mage. Sometimes a necromancer, so watch out for him. Just, I play a bard without the magic. I do it on purpose. I even tell the DM firsthand, I'm like, there's magic in here. I ain't playing it. But, and I'm like, no, I don't. I want to play a bard without magic. I want to play a traveling musician with fighting ability. Because there's only so many shepherd's daughters that you could before they go chasing you out of town, and sometimes you need a couple fighting skills. That and you owe the wrong kind of money to the wrong kind of guy, and things get a little dicey. So, yeah, see, that's the kind of, the rapscallion, the scallywag. Or you could be legitimately a musician just trying to get by, and you're with an adventuring group because you're trying to write a hit song. Because remember, traveling musicians and minstrels get a lot of their material in medieval settings based on the adventures of others, the exploits of others. I mean, they're creative writers, but they're, in a way, they're kind of like dungeon masters in their own right. They're setting up a tale, and and others that finding entertaining will pay them. So yeah, that's my deal with bards. Elves. Here's my problem with elves. I love to play elves. I can't speak a word of Elven, so don't even get me started on that. That's Tolkien. So like he's got an Elven language. I don't believe it should blend over into the Dragons realm, even though Dungeons and Dragons was basically Lord of the Rings, but they got into copyright issues, and no. The elves in Dungeons and Dragons are now so set apart. I mean, look at 4th edition. Now we have elves, and we have Eladrin, because apparently we wanted to make elves even more fancy than they already are. You fancy, huh? Yeah, that's what Eladrin is, and I can't wait to play a 4th edition game with an Eladrin just as an elf, so that way I can berate them for being so whoa over the top fae folk. Here's my main issue with elves. Developmentally, they state in a lot of these players' handbooks that they don't reach adulthood. Like, they don't really reach adulthood till like they're about 50, because they live several hundred years. Like thousands, even in some cases, which kind of goes back to the Tolkien days. But at the same time, like, adulthood is 50. I'm sorry, but when an elf knocks, every time an elf tried to knock on me as a human or a dwarf, as a stout and burly dwarf, I got just a couple things to tell him. You're 50, and you just got adulthood, so that puts puberty at about 25, maybe. No, not even that, like 40. I'm gonna put it out there to you guys. I think elves are mentally handicapped, and I am not knocking on mentally handicapped people. If the timeline goes along with their development, I think elves, according to their very own Dungeons and Dragons mythos and legends and history, biology. Let's call it biology. It's not history. It's biology. According to their own biology regarding elves, they are developmentally challenged. 12-year-old human, 12-year-old elf. Elf should be eating paste, sucking on fungi that's growing off the side of a tree. It tastes salty. No, like, and once again, I'm not coming after mentally handicapped people in the real world. I am just saying that elves are supposed to be this sophisticated elder race that somehow trumps us humans. Now, you might say, well, humans live such a short lifespan, yada, yada. Meanwhile, elves live a longer lifespan, and, they don't see time the same way we do. So to them, we are just like a whisper in the wind, and all that whimsical crap that basically vindicates the fact that they're developmentally challenged. Elves, I've always believed, if they're going to be long-lived, it should be something more divine or magical. They age and progress just the same as us, up until the age of maturity. And, whether that be 21, 25, whatever you believe biologically, we kind of stop growing at. And then and then the process slows to a crawl. Okay? Humans, we lost that somewhere along the line. I mean, I forget which setting it is, but humans descended from elves in one particular setting, and it wasn't a homebrew. I remember this distinctly being a D&D setting. So, yeah, like, that I'm okay with. If you want to run your elves like that, cool. I'm so all over that. And you can have elves that are like 600 years old, just venerable, very wise. But this whole idea of them not being like adults till 50, it hurts. Because it's hard to take them seriously. Because it's just like, yeah, it's just, what's wrong with them? This is not a species that would last. They can't fully comprehend themselves, comprehend the world around them. Not to mention mating. I mean, puberty's pretty essential to get some stupping going on in your race and procreate and get another generation going. And if that doesn't happen till you're almost adulthood, and adulthood is 50, oh my God, why are there any elves at all? Do they sprout out of the ground? Do they sprout out of the ground because they're not doing the naughty dance? They're not. No, that's sorry. That was probably how like my stereotypical Scottish dwarf would explain it. And dwarves, you know what? You're on the block too, man. Because I'm pretty sure they have a similar idea behind the dwarves. They take forever to get to be adults because they get to live a lot longer. It's not as long as the elves, which the elves hold over. Yeah, see where we're going. And I mean, I get it if you want to go ahead and say that orcs are developmentally challenged. I mean, in Tolkien's works, orcs were like they were elves at one time that were turned just all sorts of wrong by Sauron. And zug zug. I mean, they're not depicted as being very smart in any setting, so I can get on board with that. But elves are supposed to be so, elven, and their whole biology is fighting against them. Maybe this is just me overthinking it. I just need to have that sense of have that sense of disbelief, have that true fantastical let go childlike belief in the game and just leave it alone. But I can't. If you got your elves aging the same as humans up until the age of maturity, sexual maturity, and then the process slows to a crawl, I can get on board with that. That's something that makes sense to me, and the elves are allowed to be a little bit high and mighty because they have a longer lifespan, and humans gave up something to become lesser in that respect. We gained something over them, but we lost that, which of course they think is foolish, and it kind of feels a little bit like a human Vulcan type of thing, which again, we're space elves, so we're kind of talking about the same thing. So I'm thinking I'm gonna get a little bit of blast back from this, but you know what? I tell you what, I'm all ears. So you just go ahead and let me know what you think, and I'm not trying to fuel any sort of hate on races. I don't want to hear any racist comments. No, I really don't. Because even if you're meaning it like in a fantastical sense, and it's just a little too close to, like if it just seems more like a smokescreen for your true in life racism, I'm not going to be on board with that. I'm not a racist. And if anybody thinks that I'm harping on the mentally handicapped in the real world, think again. I'm not, because there are people within my direct circle and my family who I'm not going to name because they have their privacy, that are mentally disabled, have mental issues, you know, either by birth or by chance circumstance. So get that out of your head before you even comment. And if I see any of that, I'm either gonna remove it, because this is just supposed to be a discussion about the fantastical biology of fantastical D&D elves and also bards. And so that's what this is about, and I hope to see some constructive back and forth regarding this video, because that's what it was intended to do. If it didn't, if it missed the mark, I'm going to try this again, because I really think we need to have a discussion as gamers about this, because who the hell else are we going to talk about this with? In the meantime, keep the dice rolling, and we'll see you next time.